Time to hang out with my sister girl, ayy. Sister girl on films. Ayy, sister girl on films. Ayy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Sister Girl on Films. And as you can tell by the title, guys, I am here to give my thoughts and opinions on the 2023 remake White Men Can't Jump, which is currently streaming on Hulu. Matter of fact, it's like a Hulu original. So White Men Can't Jump 2023 stars Jack Harlow and Sinqua Wells as Kamal and Jeremy. You know, they're former basketball, superstars, and for whatever reason, life events happen for them and they're not able to pursue their long-term professional basketball dreams. And so as a result, they kind of fall on hard times in their personal lives. And so they meet up and they decide that with their powers combined, they can hustle enough people to make money and get themselves out of whatever financial situation they are currently in. That's basically the plot of White Men Can't Jump, the OG one and this one. And so y'all, so when I heard they were remaking White Men Can't Jump, my first thought was, why? Like, I feel like it's so it's unnecessary. And I don't feel like it's a movie that people have been like clamoring for a remake for. I don't think many movies that are remade people are really asking for, but particularly White Men Can't Jump. I struggled watching this movie, and I really wanted to find something positive to say about it. I really did. It was a struggle. But one thing I will say, I will say this. Sinqua Wells did a really good job. I like him as an actor, and I really wish we could see him in more roles, so he gets a lot more exposure. But the things that I have seen him in, I really enjoy him in. I think he has great screen presence. He definitely has leading man appeal. And I think he just has a certain charisma to him that works for me, seeing him on, on the screen. So I did enjoy his performance. Jack Harlow was okay. And I'm gonna say that his performance, I know he's not known to act, he is actually, a rapper. His performance was okay. The moments when he had to be funny and things like that, he did well. And there were other parts, we'll get to it, that weren't so great. But overall, I feel like their performances separate were pretty good, okay? One thing I did want to point out is that, and this will lead me into the things I did not like about this movie. So the director of this film is Calmatic, who is the same director of the reboot of House Party. So House Party 2023. Yeah. Yeah. No disrespect to this brother, but I feel like you are really attaching your name to some projects that are not doing well. And I don't think that's good for your future career as a director. And also, some of your choices as a director are not going to be good for your career as a director, okay? But let me go ahead and get into the things that I did not like about White Men Can't Jump. The first thing that really got on my damn nerves was how over the top the racial things were in this movie. Now, if you remember the original 1992 White Men Can't Jump, like, there were racial things that were brought up throughout the film, but it made sense for the time period because it came out in 92. The LA riots happened in 92. So racial tensions were at an all-time high, like across country. The Rodney King beating had happened around that time. It was just a lot of shit happening. So it made sense in the 90s, especially 92, that a movie about basketball called White Men Can't Jump would have some elements in there where race was talked about. In the original one, the main character Billy, played by Woody Harrelson, he was low-key kind of racist. He said some shit that was kind of problematic. You know what I'm saying? He felt like he probably had to defend himself, but sometimes he was saying stuff that I was like, bruh, okay, chill out. So it made sense in the original one why race was such like a primary part of the plot point. It made sense. In this version, even though we have some race stuff happening, in our world now, it's not to the level that it was 30 years ago in terms of events that were happening. So the fact that they kept bringing up race, it felt hella forced. It wasn't warranted because Jeremy Jack Harlow's character, was not giving that energy that Billy gave in the original one. Like, Billy was saying some racist shit. Jeremy really wasn't. And he was kind of just being picked on because he was a white guy, which was really whack. And then there were things that they kept bringing up race shit, and it just didn't make sense. So I really hated that aspect of this script. The pacing for this movie is hella off. And the reason why I say that is because if we're going to do a reboot of a movie, the original one, Sydney and Billy, they didn't fuck with each other. Like, for the whole, not even more than the first half of the movie, it wasn't until we got to like the final 20 minutes where these two characters actually started to show that they at least could tolerate each other and had like a little bit of like, I kind of, you my guy a little bit. But in this movie, we have Kamal and Jeremy who meet. They are kind of going back and forth. And then once they decide to join together as a 2-on-2 duo to hustle people out of money, all of a sudden we got montages of them being besties and Jeremy teaching Kamal how to meditate and all that. The pacing it didn't make sense. I feel like we didn't get to that point. We didn't see enough of them like going back and forth, not quite liking each other until they became like best buds. So I really hated that about the film. And then there would be moments when we would throw in these like dramatic moments, and I'm like, the tone is off. Are you trying to be a comedy, or are we trying to have some drama? Like, what's happening here? I feel like the tone was off and the pacing was out of whack for me in this movie. Another thing that kind of bothered me is in terms of just the script overall. So we have these two guys who, according to their backstory, were elite athletes. So Kamal was an elite high school athlete, was signed to like Division I school, and then some shit happened and he kind of lost everything. And then we have Jeremy, who was playing at a D1 school and was set to go to the NBA, and only thing that stopped him, he had a knee injury. So you have these two people who were probably pretty high profile, especially if you follow basketball. So you mean to tell me not none of these people they playing basketball against know who they are? Really? You mean to tell me none of these dudes know who Jeremy is? Don't none of them. Because he was set to go to the NBA. So I imagine he had a lot of press on him. But did nobody know him? Okay, I guess. So I feel like if we're going to take elements from the original and try to apply it to this new script, it's got to make some logical sense, because that didn't make sense to me. Jack Harlow's performance when it came to like the funny, lighthearted stuff was pretty good. Now, there was a moment at kind of like what would have been kind of like the climax of the film where Jeremy and his girlfriend had an argument, and his reaction, I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be comedic, because they were getting into an argument. He got pissed off by some events. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but he got mad and he's storming out of their apartment. But the way it's shot, his mannerisms were giving comedy and not drama. And I was like, I don't understand why the director didn't give direction on that and have him reshoot that, because his performance was not giving anger, it wasn't giving sadness, it was giving like slapstick. And I couldn't figure out, again, the tone of this movie. I'm like, what are y'all trying to do? So whenever a scene called for drama or some sort of, although there was one scene where Jeremy was drunk, and he started to do some anger, and I think he did well there, but there were too many moments that called for him to have a little bit more depth in his performance, and he didn't pull it off, and the director didn't correct it. So that also bothered me in this movie. And the last thing that really kind of got on my nerves, the whole story arc for Kamal, okay? So Kamal was given this whole story arc of like having a really bad temper. He kind of flies off the hinges, all these things. And so him and Jeremy's connection was that Jeremy was more zen, calm. He meditated. He even taught Kamal how to meditate. He got him interested in it, all that. So when we get to the climax of the film, when Kamal is presented with conflict, instead of him having a moment of just being like, you know what, it ain't even worth it, and walking away, he had another angry outburst. And so I'm thinking, then what was the point of all these montages of him meditating, all of this, Jeremy teaching him all this anger management shit, and not only is there not a payoff at the end of that, but then Jeremy responds in a violent, angry way. That didn't make no damn sense. And then without giving away too much, the ending was very convenient. There were some events that unfolded that when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, well, how fucking convenient is this? And it didn't fucking make sense. It didn't make sense for the movie, because if we're presenting these two as our main character and we're following their journey into what should be our final, most climactic scene, the way the ending was played out, I'm like, well, why would we make this choice? Because this don't make no damn sense. It has nothing to do with, one of the characters, Jeremy. It has nothing to do with his story arc. It is not indicative of his personality. There's no lesson to be learned here. It's just a convenient moment. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It was dumb. So yeah, so overall, I just feel like this movie was unnecessary. Blake Griffin, you know, the basketball player, was an EP for this movie. I don't understand what's happening. We had LeBron James, who EP'd House Party, and now we got Blake Griffin EPing fucking White Man Can't Jump. NBA players, listen, and I need you to listen good. Stop. Just stop. Like, stop EPing movies. And unless you're gonna EP it and just not have any input, well, that's fine. But giving yourself cameos, I don't know how much input, you know, Blake had on the script or none of that shit, but just stop. I don't need to see no more damn remakes. And I definitely don't need to see no more damn remakes that are directed by Calmatic. I don't need to see them. And I don't need to see no more damn remakes EP by no goddamn NBA players. Enough. Ugh. So needless to say, I did not like this movie. I feel like it was a waste of time. It was so unnecessary. Just the entire tone of it didn't make sense. There were aspects of the original one that could have been tweaked and added to this, and it would have made it a better film. There were plot points that could have been developed a lot better, that would have made more sense, that would have gave this movie more depth. But they are too focused on trying to make shit funny than to make a good movie, that they lose the whole purpose of the damn movie. The entire point of the original White Man Can't Jump wasn't that they was trying to be best friends, is that these fools was hustling people, even to the point where Sydney backstabbed Billy and hustled his ass. So I don't understand why this movie was made. I don't understand the decisions that were made in it. But what I do understand is that I wasted my time watching it. And so I'm going to let you know, if you're curious to go watch it, probably don't. Just don't. I mean, there's some people who are liking it. I'm sure there'll be people who comment on this. I liked it. I understand. That's cool. You can like it. But as for me, I did not like it. And I don't recommend you check it out. The original White Man Can't Jump is also on Hulu. Watch that instead. So y'all let me know in the comments below what you thought about White Man Can't Jump 2023. Did you like it? Did you like how they updated it? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Did you like it better than the OG one? Let me know your thoughts. If you did, no judgment, you know, to each his own. I wouldn't agree with you, but you know, you're entitled to your opinion. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, y'all, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and look out for my retro rewatch, recap, and commentary on the 1992 White Man Can't Jump that will be out later this week. Thank y'all so much for y'all support, and I'm gonna see y'all next time.
Hey, sister girl on films, you don't wanna miss a thing. Better stay tuned in. So lay back, get into the vibe, in the mood. Real reviews from a sister's point of view. Trailer reactions.